The Galactic Academy. The Galactic Academy of Sciences hung in space like a glittering snowflake, its crystalline spires refracting starlight into 1,000 colors. To the casual observer, it might have seemed like a work of art rather than the most prestigious center of learning in the known universe. But to Zara Chen, it was home. Or at least, the closest thing to home she'd had in the past 3 years. Zara straightened her environment suit as she strode through the academy's main atrium, her boots clicking against the polished floor. Around her, a dizzying array of alien life forms bustled about their daily routines. Tentacled Sorblaxians slithered past, leaving trails of bioluminescent slime in their wake. Crystalline Quarians chimed gentle greetings as they floated by, their faceted bodies refracting the light into mesmerizing patterns. And everywhere, the air was filled with a cacophony of clicks, whistles, and subsonic rumbles as dozens of species communicated in their native tongues. To most of the galaxy, humans were an oddity, a species of Deathworlders who had somehow clawed their way out of a gravity well that should have crushed them, surviving on a planet that by all rights should have killed them 1,000 times over. But here at the Academy, Zara was just another student, albeit one who required an environment suit to survive in the station's alien atmosphere. As she approached the lecture hall for her advanced xenobiology class, Zara felt a familiar twinge of excitement. Professor Zlixix was scheduled to give a lecture on the mating habits of gaseous life forms, and rumor had it that he'd managed to secure some rare holographic footage of nebula dancers in their natural habitat. The lecture hall was already buzzing with activity when Zara entered. She made her way to her usual seat, nodding greetings to her classmates. To her left, a Malroxian with 6 eyes and iridescent scales was furiously scribbling notes with 3 of its tentacles. To her right, a being composed entirely of swirling plasma, contained within a force field, offered a polite burst of static, its species equivalent of a hello. Professor Zlixix oozed into the room, his gelatinous body rippling with excitement. "Settle down, class," he burbled, his words translated by the universal translators embedded in each student's desk. "Today, we have a truly fascinating subject to explore. The mating rituals of gaseous entities are some of the most complex and beautiful in the known galaxy. Now, if you'll direct your attention to the holographic display." As the professor began his lecture, Zara found herself drawn into the mesmerizing dance of the nebula dancers. Their ethereal forms swirled and merged, creating intricate patterns of light and energy. It was moments like these that reminded her why she'd left Earth to study at the Academy in the first place. Suddenly, a flicker of movement outside the viewport caught Zora's attention. She blinked, certain she must be seeing things. But no, there it was again, a tiny white speck, drifting lazily past the transparent aluminum. "Snow," Zara whispered, her voice filled with disbelief. The Malroxian next to her swiveled 3 of its eyes in her direction. "Pardon, human Zara. Did you say something?" Zara shook her head, trying to focus on the lecture. But the white specks outside were becoming more numerous, swirling in eddies created by the station's artificial gravity field. It was impossible. And yet there it was, snow, in space. Unable to contain herself any longer, Zara raised her hand. Professor Zlixix paused mid-burble, his gelatinous form rippling with mild annoyance at the interruption. "Yes, human Zara. Do you have a question about the mating habits of the nebula dancers?" "No, Professor," Zara said, her voice trembling with excitement. I think it's snowing outside." The lecture hall erupted into chaos. Dozens of alien appendages pressed against the viewport, eyes and sensory organs of all descriptions straining to see the impossible phenomenon occurring outside. Professor Zlixix oozed to the front of the room, his body pulsing with a mixture of confusion and scientific curiosity. "Impossible," he burbled. "We are in the vacuum of space. There is no atmospheric moisture to form what you call snow." But the evidence was undeniable. The white flakes were now falling thick and fast, accumulating on the station's external structures. The viewport was soon frosted over, transforming the lecture hall into a winter wonderland straight out of an old Earth postcard. Zara's mind raced. How was this possible? And more importantly, what did it mean? As a human, a Deathworlder, she was uniquely qualified to understand the implications of this sudden, impossible weather. "Professor," she said, her voice cutting through the excited chatter of her classmates, "I think we need to call an emergency meeting of the Academy Board. If this is what I think it is, we may need to declare a snow day." The gelatinous professor quivered with confusion. "A snow day? I'm not familiar with this term." Zara grinned, feeling a surge of pride in her species' unique experiences. "Trust me, Professor. It's a vital part of human culture. And I think it's about to become a vital part of galactic culture, too." As the snow continued to fall outside, blanketing the space station in a surreal white blanket, Zara realized that her years of study at the Galactic Academy had prepared her for many things, but not for this. It was time to show the galaxy what humanity did best: adapt, survive, and find joy in the most unexpected places. Little did she know that this impossible snow day was about to change the course of galactic history and remind everyone why humans, for all their fragility, were a force to be reckoned with in the universe. The Snow Day Declaration. The emergency meeting of the Galactic Academy Board was a sight to behold. Representatives from a dozen different species crowded into the station's central chamber, their varied physiologies creating a tableau that would have sent any Earth zoologist into fits of ecstasy. At the center of it all stood Zara Chen, the lone human in a sea of aliens, trying to explain a concept so fundamentally terrestrial that she might as well have been speaking in tongues. "So let me get this straight," said Administrator Klex, his crystalline body vibrating with confusion. "On your planet, when frozen dihydrogen monoxide falls from the sky in sufficient quantities, you cease all productive activities." Zara sighed, running a hand through her hair, a gesture that caused several of the gaseous entities in the room to recoil in alarm. "It's not just about stopping work, Administrator. Snow days are, well, they're about joy. About taking a moment to appreciate the unexpected." Professor Zlixix oozed forward, his gelatinous form still quivering with excitement from the lecture hall. "But surely, human Zora, your species' legendary productivity would suffer from such frivolous interruptions." A ripple of agreement passed through the assembled aliens. Humans were known throughout the galaxy for their relentless drive, their ability to thrive in conditions that would kill most other species. The idea that they would willingly pause their activities for something as trivial as frozen precipitation seemed to challenge everything the galactic community thought they knew about Deathworlders. Zara took a deep breath, realizing that she wasn't just arguing for a day off. She was defending the very essence of what made humanity unique. "With all due respect, Administrator, Professor, that drive you admire in humans, it comes from our ability to find balance. To work hard, yes, but also to play hard. To find joy in the moment, even, especially, when that moment is unexpected." She gestured to the viewport, where the impossible snow continued to fall, transforming the space station into a winter wonderland. "Look at that. In all your years of study, in all the vast knowledge accumulated by the Galactic Academy, did anyone predict this? Of course not. It's a complete anomaly. And that's exactly why we need to embrace it." The Zordlaxian representative, a mass of writhing tentacles and bioluminescent patches, pulsed with skepticism. "And how precisely does one embrace this frozen phenomenon?" Zara grinned, a spark of mischief in her eyes. "Well, for starters, we go outside and play in it." The chamber erupted in a cacophony of alarmed squeaks, rumbles, and electromagnetic pulses. The very idea of voluntarily exposing oneself to such an alien substance seemed to violate every safety protocol in the book. "Absolutely not," declared Administrator Klex, his crystalline form vibrating with authority. The potential risks to our student body are incalculable. We have no data on how this snow might interact with various physiologies. Zara felt her heart sink. She had hoped that the spirit of scientific inquiry, if nothing else, would win them over. But then, from an unexpected quarter, came a voice of support. "I disagree," said Professor Zlixix, his gelatinous form rippling with what Zara had come to recognize as excitement. "As xenobiologists, is it not our duty to study new phenomena, to expand our understanding of the universe and its myriad forms?" A murmur of agreement rippled through the chamber. The professor continued, warming to his theme. "Moreover, we have among us a native of a death world, an expert, if you will, in surviving hostile environments. If human Zara assures us that this snow is safe, should we not trust her judgment?" Zara felt a surge of gratitude towards the professor. She had always suspected that beneath his formal exterior lurked a spirit of adventure worthy of any human explorer. Administrator Klex's crystalline form vibrated with indecision. But what of our schedules? Our carefully planned curriculum? "With respect, Administrator," Zara said, seizing the moment, "sometimes the most valuable lessons are the ones we don't plan for. This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, a chance for every species here to experience something totally new together. Isn't that what the Galactic Academy is all about?" There was a long moment of silence as the assembled aliens considered her words. Then, slowly at first, but with growing enthusiasm, a chorus of agreement filled the chamber. "Very well," said Administrator Klex, his voice a chime of resignation. "Human Zara, you may have your snow day, but you will be personally responsible for ensuring the safety of all participants." Zara grinned, already mentally cataloging the array of snow-related activities she could introduce to her alien classmates. "Thank you, Administrator. You won't regret this." As the meeting adjourned and the representatives filed out, each already beginning to speculate on how their particular physiology might interact with the snow, Zara felt a tap on her shoulder. She turned to find Professor Zlixix oozing beside her. "I must confess, human Zara," he burbled, his gelatinous form rippling with what she now recognized as excitement, "I find myself most intrigued by this snow day concept. Might I participate in the activities?" Zara's grin widened. "Professor, I wouldn't have it any other way. In fact, I have a feeling you might be particularly good at something we call sledding." As they made their way to the station's main airlock, Zara felt a surge of pride. She had come to the Galactic Academy to learn about alien life forms, but today she was the teacher, and she had a feeling that the lessons learned on this impossible snow day would resonate far beyond the confines of the space station. The airlocks hissed open, and a gust of cold, snow-laden air rushed in. Zara took a deep breath, the familiar scent of winter filling her lungs despite the alien environment. Around her, her classmates and professors tentatively extended appendages, sensory organs twitching as they encountered the strange, cold substance for the first time. "All right, everyone," Zara called out, her voice filled with excitement. "Welcome to your first snow day. Let's make some memories." And with that, the most unlikely winter carnival in the history of the galaxy began. As Zara stepped out into the swirling snow, she couldn't help but laugh. Who would have thought that it would take a Deathworlder to teach the galaxy how to truly live? Chaos and joy in the snow. The scene that unfolded on the external decks of the Galactic Academy was nothing short of surreal. Beings from 100 different worlds, each evolved to thrive in wildly different environments, were suddenly confronted with a phenomenon utterly foreign to most of them: snow. Zara stood at the center of the chaos, her environment suit's external speakers cranked to maximum as she tried to coordinate the galaxy's most unusual winter carnival. "Okay, everyone," she called out, her voice barely audible over the excited chatter of her alien classmates. "Let's start with something simple. Who wants to build a snowman?" The response was a cacophony of confusion. The Malruxian student raised 3 of its tentacles. "Excuse me, human Zara, But what is the purpose of constructing a humanoid effigy from frozen precipitation? Zara grinned inside her helmet. The purpose? Fun, of course. Here, let me show you. She began to roll a large snowball, packing it tightly as she went. The aliens watched in fascination as the ball grew larger and larger. Soon, a crowd had gathered, each species offering their own unique perspective on the process. The Quarians, with their crystalline bodies, found they had a natural affinity for shaping the snow. Their creations were less snowmen and more intricate ice sculptures, each one a dazzling work of art that refracted the starlight in mesmerizing patterns. The Exorblaxians, on the other hand, discovered that their bioluminescent slime created beautiful, glowing patterns when mixed with the snow. Soon, the deck was dotted with pulsing, multicolored snowmen that looked like they belonged in a psychedelic dream. Professor Zlixix, true to Zora's prediction, had taken to sledding with unbridled enthusiasm. His gelatinous body was perfect for sliding down the gently sloping decks, and he left a trail of laughing, cheering students in his wake as he zoomed past. Not everything went smoothly, of course. The plasma beings found that their natural heat caused the snow around them to melt instantly, leaving them confused and slightly frustrated. Zara quickly organized them into a snowmelt art competition, encouraging them to create intricate patterns in the snow with their bodies. The Zorblaxian representative, still skeptical of the whole endeavor, had reluctantly ventured out onto the deck. His writhing tentacles proved excellent for gathering snow, but he seemed at a loss for what to do with it once collected. Zara approached him, a mischievous glint in her eye. "You know," she said casually, "on Earth, we have this thing called a snowball fight." Before the Zorblaxian could react, Zara had scooped up a handful of snow and tossed it gently at him. The snow splattered harmlessly against his tentacles, and for a moment, there was silence. Then, to everyone's surprise, the Zorblaxian's bioluminescent patches began to pulse with what Zara recognized as laughter. With surprising speed, he gathered up a mass of snow with his tentacles and lobbed it back at Zara. "Snowball fight," Zara yelled, ducking behind a nearby sculpture. The deck erupted into joyous chaos. Snow flew in all directions as species that had evolved on worlds light years apart found common ground in the simple joy of playful competition. The Quarians quickly established themselves as the tactical geniuses of the snowball war, using their crystalline bodies to refract light and confuse their opponents. The Exorblaxians, with their multiple limbs, became the rapid-fire specialists, unleashing barrages of snowballs with dizzying speed. Even Administrator Klex, who had been watching the proceedings with a mixture of concern and fascination, found himself drawn into the fray. His crystalline body proved to be an excellent shield, deflecting snowballs with ease. Soon, he was at the center of a multi-species team, calling out strategies in a voice that chimed with excitement. As the battle raged on, Zara took a moment to step back and observe the scene. Everywhere she looked, she saw joy. Species that normally communicated via subsonic rumbles or electromagnetic pulses were laughing out loud, the universal translators struggling to keep up with the array of alien expressions of delight. Professor Zlixix oozed up beside her, his gelatinous form quivering with what she now recognized as happiness. "Human Zara," he burbled, "I must confess, I had my doubts about this snow day concept. But seeing this," he gestured with a pseudopod at the chaotic scene before them, "I begin to understand why your species values these experiences so highly." Zara nodded, feeling a lump form in her throat. "It's not just about the snow, Professor. It's about sharing something new, something unexpected. It's about finding common ground in joy." The professor's form rippled in agreement. "Indeed. I suspect that the bonds formed here today will prove far more valuable than any lecture or formal study session." As if to punctuate his point, a stray snowball sailed past, splattering against the viewport behind them. They turned to see the Zorblaxian representative, his tentacles raised in a universal gesture of apology, but his bioluminescent patches pulsing with unmistakable glee. Zara laughed, scooping up some snow of her own. "Come on, Professor. I think it's time we showed them how a Deathworlder handles a snowball fight." As they charged back into the fray, Zara felt a sense of pride and belonging unlike anything she'd experienced since leaving Earth. She had come to the Galactic Academy to learn about alien life, but today she was teaching the galaxy a lesson about what it meant to be human. The snow continued to fall, blanketing the space station in a surreal white blanket. But on the decks of the Galactic Academy, the warmth of shared joy and newfound understanding blazed brighter than any star in the cosmos. As the day wore on, new challenges and discoveries emerged. The Gaseous Collective, a group of sentient cloud-like beings, found that they could absorb snowflakes into their bodies, creating swirling patterns of white within their vaporous forms. Soon, they were engaged in an impromptu beauty contest, each trying to create the most intricate internal snow designs. Meanwhile, a group of silicon-based life forms discovered that the cold temperature of the snow significantly enhanced their natural crystallization processes. They began growing elaborate crystal structures, using the snow as a catalyst, creating a forest of glittering, otherworldly formations across one section of the deck. Even the station's AI, initially puzzled by the sudden change in routine, got into the spirit of things. It began using the station's environmental controls to create gentle wind patterns, swirling the falling snow into mesmerizing vortexes and adding an extra layer of magic to the already surreal scene. As the impromptu carnival continued, Zara found herself at the center of it all, fielding questions, offering suggestions, and marveling at the ingenious ways her alien classmates were interpreting and adapting Earth-winter traditions. Human Zara called out a quantum oscillator, its form flickering in and out of phase with visible reality. "We have observed the construction of snow persons. Might we attempt a snow representation of our own kind?" Zara grinned, already imagining the mind-bending result. "Absolutely. In fact, why don't we make it a contest? Each species can create a snow sculpture representing themselves." The idea spread quickly, and soon the deck was transformed into a bizarre gallery of snowy alien sculptures. The quantum oscillator's creation seemed to exist in multiple states simultaneously, while the Hive Mind Collective worked together to create an intricate network of interconnected snow forms that somehow conveyed the concept of shared consciousness. As the day began to wind down, Zara noticed a small group of her classmates huddled together, deep in conversation. Curious, she approached, catching snippets of their discussion. "But how do we know when it's over?" A Cronus manipulator was asking, its temporal field causing the snow around it to fall in mesmerizing slow motion. "Yeah," added a photosynthetic empath, its leafy appendages gently waving. "On our world, we base our rest cycles on the movement of our binary suns. How do humans determine the end of a snow day?" Zara paused, realizing that in her excitement, she hadn't considered this aspect. On Earth, snow days typically ended when the weather cleared or a predetermined time had passed. But here, in the depths of space, with artificially created snow, those metrics didn't apply. She was about to answer when she had a better idea. "You know what? That's something we should decide together. This isn't just an Earth tradition anymore. It's something new, something that belongs to all of us." The aliens exchanged glances, their various sensory organs conveying a mix of surprise and appreciation. "What do you think?" Zora continued, warming to the idea. "How should we decide when a galactic snow day ends?" As the group began to discuss, throwing out ideas that ranged from the practical to the wildly creative, Zara felt a sense of wonder wash over her. This wasn't just a snow day anymore. It was the birth of a new tradition, one that bridged the vast gulfs of space and evolution, bringing together beings from across the cosmos in a shared moment of joy and discovery. The snow continued to fall, a glittering curtain against the star-studded backdrop of space. But here, on the decks of the Galactic Academy, something far more magical was taking shape. a true union of worlds, bound together by the simple, profound joy of a snow day. Lessons learned. As the excitement of the impromptu snow day began to settle, the true impact of the event started to become apparent. The Galactic Academy, usually a bastion of structured learning and rigid schedules, had been transformed. In the wake of the snowy chaos, a new atmosphere of camaraderie and shared experience permeated the station. Zara found herself in the Academy's main lounge, surrounded by a diverse group of alien students and faculty members. The conversation flowed freely, punctuated by laughter and excited gestures, as everyone shared their experiences of the day. "I must admit," chimed Administrator Klex, his crystalline form still sparkling with traces of snow, "I had severe reservations about this snow day concept. But the level of engagement and creative problem-solving I witnessed today was unprecedented." Professors Lixix oozed agreement. "Indeed, I observed students from traditionally antagonistic species working together to construct snow fortifications. The Vexcar and the Priltan were actually cooperating." The gelatinous xenobiologist quivered with excitement. "Do you realize the diplomatic implications of this?" Zara smiled, a warm feeling of pride spreading through her chest. "That's the magic of a snow day. It breaks down barriers, lets people, or aliens, see each other in a new light." However, not everyone was entirely convinced. Zorax, a hyperlogical AI student housed in a hovering metallic sphere, pulsed with skepticism. "While the social benefits are apparent, I fail to see the long-term educational value of such an unstructured activity. Surely, this deviation from our curriculum will result in academic setbacks." A murmur of agreement rippled through some of the assembled aliens. It was clear that while they had enjoyed the experience, many were struggling to reconcile it with their deeply ingrained notions of productivity and structured learning. Zara took a deep breath, realizing that this was a crucial moment. She wasn't just defending a fun day in the snow anymore. She was advocating for a fundamental shift in how these beings approached education and life itself. "Zorax," she began, choosing her words carefully, "think about what you observed today. Did you see any learning taking place?" The AI's external lights flickered in a pattern that Zara had come to recognize as deep thought. "Well, yes. I observed numerous instances of physical adaptation, creative problem-solving, and social interaction. But these were not part of our established curriculum." Zara nodded encouragingly. "Exactly. Sometimes the most valuable lessons are the ones we don't plan for." Today, species that evolved on worlds light years apart found common ground. They faced a new challenge together and came up with creative solutions. Isn't that the very essence of what we're trying to achieve here at the Academy? Professors Lixix burbled in agreement. "Human Zara makes an excellent point. In my centuries of teaching, I've never seen such spontaneous cross-species collaboration. The gaseous collective and the silicon crystallines working together to create those extraordinary snow crystal formations. It was a breakthrough in xenobiology that no amount of structured lab work could have produced." Administrator Klex chimed thoughtfully. "And let's not forget the diplomatic implications. I've already received communiques from several galactic embassies expressing interest in this snow day concept. They see it as a potential tool for interspecies bonding and conflict resolution." The room buzzed with excitement as the implications began to sink in, but Zara knew there was an even more important point to be made. "There's something else," she said, her voice cutting through the chatter. "Something that might be hard for some of you to understand, but it's crucial." She paused, making eye contact, or nearest equivalent, with each being in the room. "Fun is important. Joy is important. They're not just frivolous indulgences. They're essential for mental health, for creativity, for building relationships. Humans learned this the hard way on our death world. Sometimes, in the face of overwhelming challenges, the ability to find joy, to play, to laugh, it's what keeps us going. It's what makes us resilient." A heavy silence fell over the room as her words sank in. Many of the aliens shifted uncomfortably, their various physiologies expressing a mix of confusion and dawning understanding. Zorax's lights pulsed rapidly. This fun concept. It is a survival mechanism for Deathworlders. Zara laughed softly. In a way, yes. But it's more than that. It's what makes life worth living, even in the harshest conditions. And I think that's something every species can benefit from, no matter what kind of world they evolved on. As the discussion continued late into the night, Zara could sense a shift in the atmosphere. The aliens were beginning to see beyond the surface enjoyment of the snow day, recognizing the deeper implications of what they had experienced. Proposals were made to incorporate more unstructured, collaborative activities into the Academy's curriculum. The quantum oscillators suggested a station-wide game that would challenge students to think in multiple realities simultaneously. The Hive Mind Collective proposed a series of exercises designed to help individualistic species understand the benefits of shared consciousness. Even Zorax, the skeptical AI, was getting into the spirit of things. Perhaps it mused, its metallic form hovering thoughtfully. We could design a series of randomized environmental challenges. It would test adaptability and promote creative problem-solving across species. As the ideas flowed, Zara sat back, a contented smile on her face. She had come to the Galactic Academy to learn. But today, she had been the teacher. And the lesson she had taught. The importance of joy, adaptability, and finding common ground was one that could reshape the future of galactic society. Outside the viewport, the last of the miraculous space snow was dissipating, twinkling like stardust as it faded away. But inside the Academy, something new and wonderful had taken root. A seed of understanding, planted in the fertile ground of shared experience, was beginning to grow. As the meeting finally adjourned in the early hours of the morning, Zara found herself walking back to her quarters alongside Professor Zlixix. The gelatinous xenobiologist oozed thoughtfully beside her. "You know, human Zara," he burbled softly. "I've studied countless species across the galaxy, but I don't think I ever truly understood the remarkable adaptability of humans until today. You took a completely alien situation and turned it into a learning opportunity for the entire Academy. It's quite extraordinary." Zara felt a lump form in her throat. "Thank you, Professor. That means a lot coming from you." As they reached her quarters, Zlixix paused. "I have a feeling," he said, his gelatinous form rippling with what Zara now recognized as excitement, "that this snow day of yours is going to have repercussions far beyond the Academy. You may have just changed the course of galactic education, young human." With that, he oozed away, leaving Zara standing in front of her door, a mix of pride, exhaustion, and exhilaration washing over her. As she entered her room and began to remove her environment suit, she caught a glimpse of herself in the mirror. There, stuck to the shoulder of her suit, was a single, perfect snowflake, an impossible artifact of an impossible day. Carefully, Zara preserved it in a stasis field, a memento of the day a human taught the galaxy how to have a snow day. As she drifted off to sleep, Zara couldn't help but smile. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, new lessons, but for now she had given the galaxy a gift it didn't even know it needed, the simple, profound joy of a snow day. And in doing so, she had reminded everyone, herself included, of the unique perspective that humans brought to the galactic community. In the vastness of space, on a station filled with beings from 1,000 worlds, a little piece of Earth magic had taken root, and its effects would ripple across the cosmos for generations to come. A new galactic tradition. In the weeks following the impromptu snow day, the Galactic Academy buzzed with a new energy. The event had sparked a revolution in thinking about education, diplomacy, and interspecies relations. Zara found herself at the center of it all, fielding questions from curious aliens and helping to implement new, more flexible learning programs. One morning, as Zara entered the main atrium, she was greeted by an unusual sight. A group of quantum oscillators were engaged in what appeared to be a game with a group of Cronus manipulators. Time seemed to slow, speed up, and even reverse around them as they tossed a shimmering, phase-shifting ball back and forth. "We call it temporal flux," explained Xerxes, a senior quantum oscillator. "It's a game that challenges our ability to predict and adapt to changing temporal states. We were inspired by your description of Earth sports played in the snow." Zara grinned, watching as a Cronus manipulator dove through a localized time dilation to intercept the ball. "It's amazing. I can barely follow what's happening, but it looks like you're all having fun." "Fun?" Xerxes' form flickered thoughtfully. "Yes, I believe we are experiencing this fun you spoke of. It is most invigorating." As Zara continued through the atrium, she noticed other changes. The Hive Mind Collective had set up a consciousness exchange booth, where individualistic species could experience shared consciousness for brief periods. The silicon crystallines had transformed a section of the station into a continuously evolving crystal garden, encouraging other species to contribute to its growth and shape. Even the station's AI had gotten into the spirit of things. It had begun introducing small, unexpected changes to the station's environment each day: shifts in gravity, spontaneous holographic displays, or subtle changes in lighting, all designed to challenge the inhabitants' adaptability and creativity. As Zara approached the lecture hall for her advanced xenobiology class, she was intercepted by Administrator Klex. The crystalline being's facets sparkled with excitement. "Ah, human Zara. Just the person I wanted to see. The Galactic Council has been in contact. They're quite interested in this snow day concept of yours." Zora blinked in surprise. "The Galactic Council? Really?" Klex chimed affirmatively. "Indeed. They see potential applications for diplomacy, particularly in easing tensions between historically antagonistic species. They're proposing a galaxy-wide initiative. A day of, what did you call it? Unstructured joy." Zara felt a wave of dizzying disbelief wash over her. What had started as a simple Earth tradition was about to become a galactic phenomenon. Wow. That's incredible, Administrator. But how would it work on a galactic scale? Not every world has snow, after all. "Ah, but that's the beauty of it." Klex sparkled enthusiastically. "Each world would adapt the concept to their own environment and culture. The magma dwellers of Pyrox VI, for instance, are proposing a lava surfing day. The gas bags of Nimbus II want to host a zero-gravity dance competition. The possibilities are endless." As Klex continued to outline the Galactic Council's plans, Zara felt a growing sense of pride and wonder. She had come to the Academy feeling like an outsider, a Deathworlder among the stars. But now she had given the galaxy something uniquely human, something that was already beginning to bridge the vast gulfs between species. "There's more," Klex added, his crystalline form vibrating with barely contained excitement. "The Council is proposing to establish an exchange program. They want to send representatives from various worlds to Earth to experience a real snow day. And in return—" "Let me guess," Zara laughed, already imagining the possibilities. "They want to invite humans to experience their own versions on different worlds." "Precisely," Klex chimed. "They're calling it the Galactic Joy Exchange Program, and they want you, Zara, to be its first ambassador." Zara felt her head spin. Ambassador of joy to the galaxy. It was beyond anything she had ever imagined when she first left Earth to study at the Academy. I'd be honored," she managed to say, her voice thick with emotion. As Klex excitedly outlined more details of the program, Zora's mind raced with the implications. She imagined humans learning to surf on rivers of lava, dance in the upper atmospheres of gas giants, or play hide-and-seek in the branching realities of a quantum nebula. And in return, beings from across the cosmos would experience the simple joy of a snowball fight, the thrill of sledding down a hill, or the quiet beauty of catching snowflakes on their tongues, or equivalent sensory appendages. The bell chimed, signaling the start of classes. As Zara bid farewell to Administrator Klex and hurried into the lecture hall, she couldn't help but smile. Professor Zlixix was at the front of the room, his gelatinous form rippling with excitement as he prepared to begin the lesson. "Today, class," he burbled enthusiastically, "we're going to discuss an extraordinary new field of study, the xenobiology of joy. And to help us understand this concept, we have a true expert in our midst. Human Zara, would you care to start us off?" As Zara made her way to the front of the class, she looked out at the sea of alien faces, some familiar, some still bewilderingly strange. But in each of them, she saw a spark of something uniquely human: curiosity, excitement, and the simple desire to experience something new. "Well," she began, a smile spreading across her face, "it all started with a very special Earth tradition called a snow day." As Zara launched into her explanation, weaving together concepts of play, adaptability, and the universal nature of joy, she realized that she was no longer just a student at the Galactic Academy. She had become a teacher in her own right, sharing a piece of Earth's wisdom with the cosmos. Outside the viewport, the stars twinkled against the velvet blackness of space. Somewhere out there, on countless worlds circling countless suns, beings of all shapes and sizes were about to learn a very important lesson from the Deathworlders of Earth, that sometimes the most important thing in the universe is to take a break, play in the snow or lava or quantum foam, and simply enjoy being alive. The Galactic Snow Day had begun as a quirk of fate, an impossible weather phenomenon on a space station far from Earth, but it had blossomed into something far greater, a celebration of life, diversity, and the joy of shared experience. And at the heart of it all was a simple human tradition, now spreading across the stars like ripples in a cosmic pond. As Zara continued her lesson, she knew that this was just the beginning. The galaxy was vast and full of wonders, but sometimes it took a perspective from a tiny blue planet, a death world that had forged its inhabitants in the fires of adversity, to remind everyone of the simple, profound joys that unite all living beings. The first Galactic Snow Day had come and gone, but its effects would be felt for generations to come. And somewhere, in the great cosmic dance of planets and stars, Earth had just become a little less alien, a little more like home to countless beings across the universe. As the lesson drew to a close, Zora looked out at her classmates. No, her fellow pioneers in this new frontier of galactic understanding. "So," she said, her eyes twinkling with mischief and joy, "who's ready for the next snow day?" The response was a chorus of alien enthusiasm that needed no translation. The Galactic Academy, and indeed the galaxy itself, would never be the same again, and all because of a simple human tradition, born on a death world, now spreading joy across the cosmos. The universe, it seemed, was ready to learn how to play in the snow.